All right.
Is
We've
it your
got the red
birthday,
button of
Amy?
liveness. It is my birthday. It is my
Birthday.
birthday. I'm not going to say how old I am. I am 29 several times
Happy
over.
birthday.
But thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it should be a fun show. Andy just got back from Distributech in San Diego, and we have the president is on the news right now making an announcement about the EPA, which has got implications for the data center industry. Shocking there. Thank you, President Trump, for giving us current events to talk about. But before we get started and all of those fun things and all the things we want to talk about on the Data Center News Show, I'll let my guests introduce themselves. Go ahead, Joshua.
Joshua Feinberg from DCSMI, the Data Center Sales and Marketing Institute, and host of the Data Center Go-to-Market podcast. Thanks for the invite, Amy, and for curating this amazing new show.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Thank you. Awesome. Very cool. And Andy.
Hi, I'm Andy Erda. I'm Vice President of Strategic Marketing for LS Electric America. And happy birthday, Amy.
Hola.
And my birthday present was early because we're sponsoring your podcast.
You are. And I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. And Mr. Howie.
What are all these labels?
All right, introduce
What
yourself,
the
sir.
hell? Do I need to be branded?
You do. You need to be branded. Yes. All right. Fine. I have LS Electric is the sponsor of the show now. You got to get with it, Howie.
Thanks, LS.
Thank you. Introduce yourself, sir. I know everybody. You think everybody knows you, but they might not. So
you're welcome.
Introduce Howie. Howie.
Yourself. Hey, Howard Berry, Avis Young, all things data center real estate.
Awesome sauce. You're not busy, are you, Howie? At all, are you?
Never. No, not at all.
Hey,
happy
never.
birthday, Amy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
What are you, like 25? That's awesome.
Yeah, 20. No, I'll admit to 29. I'm 29. I'll admit to that. A couple of times over. 29, for sure. For sure. So let's talk. Let's talk about. Where'd he go? All right, everybody's talking at the same time. Go ahead, Howie.
I said there's an announcement. There's no bubble. This isn't stopping.
Oh, did they finally announce? Thank you. Thank the Lord they finally announced this. Even though we were all saying, "Oh, you're announcing it." Okay, it's first on the show, even though I've said it a million times. There is no bubble. There is no bubble. Unless you're blowing bubbles. I should bring that on the show. Let's blow some bubbles on the show. I don't know. Yeah, there's no AI bubble. Yeah, no, I know. I don't think we hadn't even gotten to the close to what we're trying to do, especially with all the, what is it? I was at PTC and they said, and there was 1.2 terawatts with a T, of stuff sitting in the interconnection queues across the United States. Terawatts with a T, which I thought, I'm like, I know in Texas there's 230 gigawatts. So, we're like, what, 1/6 of that. Yeah. But yeah, Andy's going to be very busy for a very long time making transformers and switchgear. Because our grid was not ready.
Not me personally, but there's a bunch of people behind that. That's for sure.
Yes, for sure. I know. So 1.2 terawatts of the T. All right. So President Trump likes to give me fodder to talk about. So the EPA just came out and is announcing all of these rollbacks on all these EPA regulations that were put in place without a laws passed in Congress. So EPA was doing a bunch of regulations around a lot of different things. It has implications in the data center industry. So from especially on a power generation side, there's going to be expedited permitting around on-site power generation, some other things, which I think is all good for the industry as we try to figure out how we move our path forward. I think it will also create unintentionally or maybe intentionally some backlash from all the people who already hate the data center industry. Because did you not know we're evil, even though we're not evil, but apparently we're evil. So I don't know. What do y'all think? It needed to be done. In my opinion, it needed to be done. I didn't really understand some of it, but it's a good thing, I guess. We can go build more power, build more power generation. We can have easier time building data centers. What do you think? Is it needed, Howie? Was it needed? Was it not needed?
I don't think anything makes it easier. It's always difficult, right? And perception, I think what really needs to happen, because I'm seeing county by county across the country where, all of a sudden there's a brand new multi-gigawatt data center being built in Kentucky, and everybody's saying, okay, they're going to scorch the earth, they're going to use all our water. We just had one. AWS is building one here in Silicon Valley down in Gilroy, and everybody was up in arms about the water they're using. But if you look at the EIR report, they're only using 20,000 gallons a day. And then of that 20,000, it's actually getting recycled. And then so somebody came in finally and educated the locals of what was really going in here. And it's the same story everywhere. Are you going to raise my electricity rate because the data center's coming in? Are you going to use all the water and we're not going to have any water anymore? Nobody wants to see a data center, and particularly in a rural area, I could see that being really difficult to see a big giant building going on. I'd love to hear what Josh thinks about it.
I think a lot of the misinformation is stemming from a couple of different places. One is, if we go back 10 years ago, no one outside of our industry knew who DataBank or QTS or DigitalBridge or Equinix or Digital Realty was, except when they showed up like with Jim Cramer or something to give a quarterly earnings report. And then all of a sudden, Sam Altman and Jensen Huang made all of this stuff household names. So a lot more mainstream media outlets who don't really understand IT infrastructure, let alone what's happening, the nuances of what's happening, are all of a sudden covering this and having really strong opinions. Second, there's a lot of community stakeholders that are weighing in without complete information. And I think a lot of this crisis with the misinformation has been exacerbated because there's a lot of people that work for large companies that have been, for lack of a better word, censored from having any opinions that they can share on LinkedIn or appear on. I see it firsthand. I'm 2 years into hosting this podcast, and it's a couple dozen people from long careers in this industry who very badly have wanted to appear on the podcast. And their employer said, you can do that as long as you quit. You can't be an employee. You can't be an employee on our payroll and have a public opinion, because our CMO, our marketing PR agency, whatever it is, has to give cue cards on what you're allowed to say. We couldn't possibly have any media training or guidelines that would allow people to be more empowered to come on and talk about these issues. So all of a sudden now what's ended up happening is you've created this massive bottleneck where the only credible sources that actually own the industry are concentrated in 24 media companies globally. And once you get beyond that, it's good luck that the reporter or the journalist covering it has anywhere near the level of information and context and experience that they need to have to actually explain it. So in an ideal scenario, what you and I do, Amy, would be much more normalized and a lot less of the exception. And people would realize that this is just another part of communications, in the same way it's just expected that you have a professional LinkedIn presence in the 2020s.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I've seen some of that too, where people come on the show and they didn't get the blessing from their communications department, and I've gotten the hate mails afterwards about they want me to take the series down, and I went, too bad, so sad, man. Taking it down. But yeah, it is interesting. I think it's unfortunate because we need more voices promoting this. I know Meta started their commercials, and I know that I think there's this PAC being formed and some other things. That's the rumor mill, that there's this PAC being formed. But we do need someone to say something in the positive for the industry. I mean, even the state of Texas now what they're going to do with some of the folks in the ERCOT queue. It's being tossed around that in order for you to get interconnection to the power grid, you have to disclose how much water you're using. That was being tossed around like today. And I'm like, it's not an issue. It's a non-issue. Like but people are making it an issue. And so I just find it interesting. And the water thing, by the way, is we're not as very as open disclosure as California is, but in the state of Texas, we're not. But it is like this big moving target, and you don't really know how much water you really need to use. But most people are saying you're using closed loop systems and things like that. And one of the counties that I'm building in, they were going to mandate closed loop systems. And I was just like, wait, hold on, time out, man. Like, we don't know what the cooling system's going to be 6 months from now, much less you mandating them using something that might not be in existence in 6 months. We might all go to immersion, or we might go over here, or we might go over there. Closed loop seems to be the popular cooling of choice, but it just is interesting that the data centers, it just seems like over yesterday, has become this huge thing and this huge phenomena, and all this backlash is just kind of swelled to this point. I don't know.
But look how fast it came on, right? It was bound to be like this. Like to Joshua's point, that before nobody knew anything going on in the data center industry. It was such a secretive industry, and they wanted to do data center industry wanted nothing to do with anybody else. They just did their business, and now it's mainstream and it's popping up and it's going as fast as it can. And this is, rightfully so. Everybody's being cautious in that, hey, what are we signing up for here? What are we getting? And it's funny when you watch these city council meetings in extreme rural areas, you watch and you could see the mayor or certain people on the that are in the committee they want to try to push because they see revenue.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And everybody else, and then there's always like one or two people are going, whoa, hold on. There's some putting the brakes on. What are we doing? What is this? Yeah. And they don't. You have to be fully educated on what you're getting signed up for. And it's a complicated business. There's a lot to it.
I'm surprised Buddy Reiser doesn't have a speaker tour, and he goes around to all of these like communities and go, this is what you're getting in for. This is probably what you should be doing. I'd be his agent, man, because you think he would be in popular demand, but I don't know. Go ahead.
What's interesting?
Isn't Curtis doing that? Oh, sorry.
Who? Curtis?
Isn't Curtis like IDC? What?
IDCA?
Yeah. Not as much, I don't think, but go.
Yeah.
I see a lot of developers and some of the larger REITs that are starting to hire someone whose job is basically tasked with government affairs. And they don't mean like figuring out the policy so much, is that like their primary job is going to be going to conferences and growing awareness in ecosystems where there's community stakeholders, primarily focused on not just elected officials, but regulators, utility companies, and community activists. This came up about 2 years ago. I interviewed someone on the podcast, a longtime co-location marketing executive that was moving over into a new role at CyrusOne, Blair Felter. And she mentioned that one of her big initiatives was to significantly invest in that buyer persona and that stakeholder that really needed to have a much better understanding as to what's really going on. So they could be out in front of providing the information as opposed to letting the media outlet and political agendas and things like that control the flow of information. I think there's significant differences globally in how this is approached as well. I've had people from large companies who are very, very permissioned to be able to come on the podcast and give great interviews on what they do from a tactical perspective with marketing and sales enablement and partner strategy and everything. But the big difference is they're not located in the US. For some reason, there's something about the culture of, I don't know whether it's that the PR agencies got together with the lawyers and the regulation, and maybe there's all of these NDAs that were signed, but they have teeth in the US, but they don't have teeth in the US. But there's no doubt about it that it's been far easier for when I've been interested in interviewing Fortune 1000 guests, that they are disproportionately coming from outside the US. Another less savory trend that I've also seen is if people are paying attention to those big collages that I do with all the guest pictures, I would love, I'd love to have much better gender balance than we currently had. I had phenomenal women mentors early on in the first 10, 15 years of my career, and we banged our head against the wall to keep getting that number up higher and higher. But here's another bizarre thing. When I see people that are being blocked from being on the podcast, when I ask, for example, if I'd ask 20, 30 women, it seems that the permission blocking is primarily happening in the US. So if you look at the great women and later great women in the data center industry interviews that I've hosted, disproportionately, they've been in sales and marketing and product leadership roles outside of the US. I can't put my finger on exactly what's causing it, but I've had a number of times where I've invited someone that would be in the position to step forward and achieve a lot of outcomes that they're looking for, and a boss steps in, a policy steps in, or what have you, and all of a sudden it's diverted to someone else. And it's strange. I'm not big into digging for investigative journalism to figure out exactly what's going on, but it's even with relatively small sample sizes. With, I think we've had 90 guests on so far, but yeah, it's definitely showing up as something significant.
Yeah, we got to work on that industry, people. Like, I know y'all all listen to me, so I'm just telling you, we got to work on that. I would love more diverse thought, and especially if you're trying to, even from a like hiring, like people got to know about these jobs and what people are doing, and have representation, and see that, oh, somebody like me works in this industry. We had last week was a really cool show. We were talking about getting veterans into the industry. And so I had a bunch of recruiters that are, and actually other folks like from on the solution side, talk about this topic about how do you do this? How do you get more people interested in it? And if we're not talking about it, and we're getting, and we already have a labor shortage, and we're getting creamed in the press because we're evil, no one's going to kind of want to come work for you, right? So it's going to exacerbate the problem. So yeah, it was definitely interesting, and so, but it was a great show. And I had my son, because he's if I have to pull out a veteran, or I have a veteran that's like looking for, or would be looking for a job, this is a definition of my child. And so he was the guinea pig. So he came on the show last week and got beat up by all the recruiters. It was actually hilarious. It was fun.
There's definitely pockets within, we track like 57 different sectors of the data center industry, split up among operators, tech companies, facilities companies, construction, real estate, and investment, of which your show and most of what you do fits well within there, and then outsource sales and marketing. Among those 57 business models, there's definitely parts of it where it's closer to, I don't know if it's 50-50, but it's definitely not as lopsided as it is in certain roles. Like, for example, in recruiting, in telecommunications, and software, and in real estate, it seems that it isn't that difficult to get the numbers up. I think part of the challenge too is some of, at least in these client-facing jobs, some have turned into having a 50% plus travel requirement. And for anyone that's like mid-career,
ain't happening.
It's tough to be living out of a suitcase 26 weeks out of the year, 40 weeks of the year, something like that.
Yeah, no, yeah. And my kid's a new dad. And so he's like, I want to stay home. I need to stay home. I can't be traveling with a newborn. Like, forget it. Right. So yeah, no, I know it's interesting. I think the industry will kind of face it. There's two other topics I wanted to talk through, and Andy's on. Andy, are you there, buddy? Your just camera's off. So I don't know if you're there. Anyway.
I'm here. My camera's off because the bandwidth is not good, and when I have the video on, you guys are breaking up, so I can't hear you.
I see. Okay, good. You're there. All right. So there's been talk about DC to just like no conversion, like DC to AC, and high voltage DC power distribution, and what that looks like. And I think we've had this topic before, but I think it's starting to gain a little bit of steam. And if you do DC power distribution, what does that allow? like on the data center side, is there any sort of speed to delivery on power if you're doing something like that? And I just wanted to get like, because this the game in the data center industry is speed to delivery, and the biggest bottleneck is the power being available. So it does this thing where you're just doing DC only. Does this solve a problem, or is it just another way to do it? And I was just going, how is an electrician? So it's one of the reasons why I had this on.
Telecom was built on DC.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, for sure. So high voltage DC.
So
Yeah.
it does not solve the problem that you're looking for. It solves
No.
another one. So
It
let's
solves
be
another.
realistic.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA won't have its DC rack out with the high capacity for over I projected a year and a half or so. So
Okay.
that's coming. So but what's happening is everybody is working on all the other pieces of the puzzle that you're going to need to feed that beast. And the less conversion you have to do, the higher efficiency you have, and higher efficiency equals profit because you're saving money and you're also in a compact space of a much larger rack, a megawatt or whatever it is going to be when they finally bring it out with NVIDIA. So one of the innovations that was at DTEC, not only that we were showing, but several other companies were talking about are something that's very, very new in transformers, and that is a DC medium voltage transformer that is made up of solid state components. So that's pretty interesting.
Huh.
Interesting. So what does that do? Explain that 101. You got a 101 for me.
Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a PowerPoint after this, or a couple of slide decks that kind of shows it better than I can just do from the top of my head right now. But
Interesting.
I can't say that since it was publicly released on LinkedIn, that about a month ago we were invited with LG, 3 divisions and 2 divisions of LS, 1 cable and ours, to Microsoft campus in Redmond, Washington. And we actually had a section of this device there. So it is happening, and other people are working on it. Because what you want to do, and we also had a DC to DC converter there, because if you look at all the other different types of components that you have, like HVAC and other type of instrumentation, they're all going to they're all going to be DC based. And so that's the trend that we see for the future. The other very, very large trend that I see is, this answers your question on how do we get power to the data centers, is, and we've touched on this before, but the data center developers aren't waiting for the power transmission lines to show up. Yeah. So they're looking at alternative energy devices, nuke, solar, wind, gas, whatever it is. But most of those require, if it's some sort of type of microgrid, are going to require some sort of energy storage system. So if you want to talk about a bubble, even if the data center business slows down significantly for whatever reason, the next big trend that's going to take us through the next at least 5 years, in my opinion, maybe longer, maybe 10 years, is battery energy storage systems, because it continues to evolve and keep to move forward. And I honestly believe that there will be technology breakthroughs in batteries in the near term. Solid state, I think, is going to come on. I don't know if there are any other type of chemistries, other than lithium, that will make it. There's always discussion, but there's a lot of interesting things out there where they're looking at old mines to turn them into some sort of energy storage issue, and data centers, to the point where if somebody doesn't want them in their town, like in Naperville, Illinois, I'm in Chicago, had the same bad talking points that you brought up earlier. If this mine is out in the middle of Wyoming somewhere, and you've got plenty of energy and energy storage, the data center is going to go in there. So and I've also been up in Canada for several trade shows, and Canada is ahead of us on nuclear facilities, micro nukes, and they're actively soliciting data centers in many areas. And they have a big landmass out
Yep.
there. So I think they're doing a little. Whoever's doing the data center work in Canada is doing a little better job on the PR. So we might be able to take a lesson from that.
Yeah, they don't have. I remember having Michael. He was with Cushwick, and he's like probably one of the largest Canadian real estate brokers. And he was telling me like their entire capacity in Canada is it's like nothing. It's like I don't know, like maybe a gigawatt or 2 gigawatts. Like their entire capacity in Canada. I could be completely lying, but it was something very low. And so, but they are actually aggressively trying to push the data center industry up there. Well, Toronto's like blowing up like crazy. And so I'm surprised there's not more data centers there. But yeah,
Well, I understand
Go
there's globally there's restraints on nuclear. It's not just by country, because you're still under this same nuclear regulations that you no matter where you are. Obviously, US is going to be a little bit more strict on getting some small modular nuclears approved, but I think you're still going to globally you still have to go through the same process for approval.
So my understanding is that right now, most of the stuff that's been approved in the U.S., the only thing, the bottleneck for any nuclear deployment is the fuel. And Oklo has done some pretty cool things around that and securing some of that fuel. But once they secure the fuel, then they're off to the races. So, mine is in the partnership with Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And so they're going to be able to get some fuel from there, and that's what they need. I think some of the designs have already been approved, and it's getting through that process. But yeah, I know there's a federal requirement, but I'm not sure. I know nothing. We need to bring Brian on the show again, and let's talk nukes again, because it's gonna be a thing where we have to kind of figure some of that out, right? So I mean, it's right around the corner.
We of course. Energization, transformers, breakers, and Andrew, to your, what you do is obviously that is a hold up and getting MEP. But I think the next big one's going to be memory and compute, because there's only so many people building it, right? And that is going to be, I think, our next. If we can get gigawatts of data centers built, it's going to be how do you procure your servers and your memory. Memory is the big one, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I just want to add on to that. My son is a bit of a computer nerd, and he likes to build his own computers. He's actually a engineer, and he has said that NVIDIA has actually come out and basically obsoleted or limited production on certain graphics cards because they're diverting that production for AI chips. So to your point, Howie, that's going on right now.
That's Hynix, Samsung, watch them. Right.
Yeah.
I saw a post on LinkedIn a couple of hours ago from someone that I've known for years. It was on my podcast a year or two ago, Brendan Pecorillo, who runs sales for a GPU as a service company. And he was talking about this theory that NVIDIA was so close in the loop on OpenAI's roadmap that they started to basically disable their non-data center chips to prevent people from getting their legacy chips that they had hanging around from the late 2010s, back when NVIDIA was primarily a company that made graphics cards for Dell.
Yeah, exactly.
And stacking enough of them together and being able to run inference and stuff on it.
Oh yeah, right. Like I have a GPU sitting underneath my desk, and it's a gaming PC basically. But it's a GPU. It's a RTX 5090, and a lot of the early research on AI was done on that exact card, right? That exact GPU was what they were building out like the early AI models and language models on. So I don't think. Well, we'll see what NVIDIA does, but it's kind of interesting. But I'm sure somebody else.
That's how a lot of us first learned of who NVIDIA was, back around the time when
Oh yeah.
Jensen was still having Jensen Huang was still having the meetings at Denny's back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. You'd go and order a Dell PC, and the upgraded built-in graphics was like the Intel graphics built into the motherboard.
Oh,
And if
yeah,
you wanted
which
to
is
spend
so
an
bad.
extra $100 or $200 or something like that, you could get an NVIDIA graphics accelerator.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, those are so good. It's crazy town. All right, so I want to throw out this topic here since we're about halfway through the show. They're working on new technology where there you can do advanced Wi-Fi, so terahertz Wi-Fi links or wireless links, which I'm assuming this is the precursor to data centers being in space, right? So if you can transmit stuff via Wi-Fi, you're not going to need fiber anymore. We're gonna, like those poor fiber lines. Google Fiber's dead. No, I'm just kidding. But if we can do this stuff wirelessly, then data centers in space becomes more and more real. But there's research into terahertz wireless links, suggesting
Isn't that the 5G thing that Verizon's trying to expand on?
I don't think so. I think this is like a larger than that.
Well,
like it's like 6G. Like is this like TG? Like I don't know. I'm like we need to get a connectivity person back on this show. But can you imagine not needing fiber for a data center? You can do it all wireless. You can just put them anywhere. You can just have a data center in your house. No.
There was a partnership last fall announced between Nokia and NVIDIA. I don't think there's been that much commercialization on it yet, but it was designed to do something similar. What you were describing that with the data centers in space, a lot of people are speculating that the reason that Elon Musk wants to merge together SpaceX and xAI is exactly for that. So if you think about Starlink's capabilities and the rockets and the big data center that he's playing with in Memphis and all that, imagine it bolted onto something like an ISS kind of thing floating around in space. So
do you know how many Starlinks he has in space right now?
No.
I know he's getting some legit competition about to get some legit competition from Amazon.
Take a guess. Take a wild guess. How many Starlinks are up there, and how many are approved to go up?
10,000.
6,500.
Yeah,
6,500 Starlinks are already in space.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
With 12,000 approved.
So, he wants to colonize. He wants to colonize the moon. He started with Mars and then he kind of settled on the moon. But in order for you to colonize the moon, having a data center there is going to kind of be crucial, right? So they're going to have to figure out how to get data or something from the moon.
Back up that other spaceship that fell over. Remember that one?
Oh, poor Lone Star. Oh, poor twice it fell over on that damn solar panel. Well, it's kind of like side heavy, you would think. But anyway, I don't know. I don't know space stuff. I don't know. No idea. But yeah, I mean, it is definitely interesting. But yeah, if you can do, I know you're shaking your head. We'll never have a wireless data center, but you never know. I mean, with the advances in AI is allowing us to do advances and to do research and development a whole lot faster than we ever could. So maybe, who knows? I mean, I think it's definitely interesting. Definitely.
I watched a really interesting podcast this morning. It's called Lenny's Podcast. You guys ever heard of it?
Yeah, Lenny's newsletter. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did. Mark Andreessen talking about what AI and jobs, and Mark's point was really interesting. And if anybody gets a chance to watch it, it's really good. And he talks about how, and this is where I go back to the memory and compute is going to be the problem, because it's not so much the workforce is going to be wiped out and taken away. It's that more tasks are going to be managed by, AI agents. So all those tasks are just be more efficient. So you're just going to be more skilled in more things. You don't have one skill, you have multiple skills, and then you have AI managing all that. So his view is more that there are some jobs that will go away, but more of the work that you do, you're going to be more efficient because of the AI.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You still need us to manage it, to run it, to query it,
Yeah.
whatever.
It's changing the nature of what entry careers are going to look like. I saw a couple of days ago, PwC
Absolutely
made an announcement that entry level staff could only work in like one of 15 offices now. I guess the theory is that they want to have a lot more support and infrastructure for people at the very earliest stages of their career, and they're not doing it across the board in all of their offices. So there's already, do you do line of sight with saying that that's directly as a result of generative AI? It's probably at least partially.
Yeah. No.
His point was interesting because he said that, we haven't had this big of a change. Like, you look around, just go outside and you'll see old bridges, old rail, old infrastructure, power transmission. Like, we haven't had this big of a change in our history that in what we're going through right now because of data centers and AI expanding. We've been running the same old system. So now the way that workforce operates is going to change. The way that we do our jobs are going to change. Like, to your point, job descriptions are going to change.
Oh,
yes.
Sure.
So can I make a comment?
Yeah.
So first of all, I'm finishing my last 8-week course on AI on Friday. If you want to, I can ask the founder of the company if he wants to come on and talk about AI and job creation and stuff. But
Sure.
I would just like to leave you guys with this. It's a tool. Since I come out of a sales marketing track most of my career, when they invented the telegraph, it was supposed to be the death of the salesperson because everybody was going to use the telegraph to send their orders in. And then the telephone, then the fax machine, then the internet with email and web, Amazon type of companies. So I just look at this as another tool that we need to learn and use. And I can tell you right now that there will be some suffering for people that don't adapt to it quickly, because if you're I work right now with a lady in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm in Chicago, who is a graphic artist / marketing person, and she's wonderful to work with. To help do ad layouts and banners and all that stuff, since I don't have that in house. But with AI, I have done something that I was told was impossible from graphic artists. I've been able to take a low resolution picture or graphic, and with the right commands, turned it into a 4K or 8K graphic, high res. So that's that, and I did that in an hour and a half the first time. Okay, so once you have the process down, it'll be minutes, not hours. But the key is AI is going to impact jobs, but like anything, we all talk about retraining and all that kind of stuff. Well, I'm in the fourth quarter of my career, but luckily I've always liked to learn new stuff. So I'm very happy to learn this and apply it. And I run a very tight organization. And the other problem we have is I've been trying to hire people for months, and it just can't find the right person that seems like they're willing to work and actually come into the office on occasion, a hybrid role, and doesn't want to make more money than I do. So it's that kind of thing.
That's so true. It's quality of work and pride in work, right?
Yeah. Is that a because the majority of the workforce now is millennials, or what are we thinking that where that's stemming from? Yeah, we look at how we say, your kids are millennials. You do know this, right? So, and your kids work hard. Sure. Yeah. For sure.
And my
there's Z. Okay.
My tip to young families is that it's a pain in the ass, but make sure your kids have shitty summer jobs, because then they will understand the value of a good education.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good
Love
one.
that.
Yeah.
It is a good one. It's a pain in the ass dragging their butts around. Yeah.
Well, they'll also figure out like which majors and career paths to choose based on lifestyles that they want, because they'll realize how difficult it is to be able to save up enough for the down payment on the car.
Exactly.
That's
Or
the
what
other
it costs to
thing.
put gas or insurance on the car.
That's the other thing is they need to contribute, if not pay for the car insurance. That's the other thing when they're driving.
Exactly. God, we sound like a bunch of old fogies, don't we?
Well, no,
Yeah,
it's not
we
old
do.
fogies. It's the same thing that kind of
Yeah, we did.
I was
We
taught.
did.
But
Mhm.
hey, listen, I don't want to brag, but one is an engineer and he's doing quite well, and he actually works for a competitor of my current company, which is hilarious. And
That's not the
but
brag.
on the automation side, not on the breaker switchgear side, which is
Yeah.
what's really growing. And then my other one is a dentist that has her own business and is doing phenomenally well. Phenomenal. She's
Good kids.
doing
That's awesome. All right, and this is the next question for Howie, and I because I kind of am a developer too. So are you seeing clients or like end users who are looking for data center sites that are finally getting getting over the fact that they have to be connected to the grid? Is that still an anomaly, or is that becoming commonplace now? Because that's going to determine how we kind of move forward with these things.
We are leaning into bridge solution acceptance. We are not leaning into islanded power solutions 100% yet. Some kind of, it depends on it. We're seeing some looks at islanded power solutions. But it's not, it's slowly getting it done. We're getting there. I say 26 is the year of the acceptance of islanded power solution. You're going to have no options, because the amount of, what Duke Energy requiring you to put a $50 million deposit up and then wait till 2032, 3 to get the power.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that.
No. Yeah. No.
So
I know.
If I have to be in a region and I need to be specifically because my clients want to be there, I'm going to, start solving some problems.
Yeah. So some of the most of the sites I have are in Texas, and forget it. Like, I can't do the New Yorker, forget about it. Like, I don't have it. It's a Texas accent. It doesn't look, but it basically, you know what I'm saying? Like, forget it. Like, you're not going to get power for a decade. Like, let's be real. Like, you might find small pockets of stranded power here or there. No, but nothing hyperscale like you're just not going to find it. There's no I know you found your site, but that's a rare occasion when you're going to find a gigawatt of power just sitting out there in Texas. Like, it's just
1.65.
I know you're all excited.
1.65 gigawatt interconnect agreement. We're going.
I know. Good for you, man. That's awesome.
For the announcement. Should I do it here? Maybe.
You better announce it here. I mean, that's pretty cool. You've been working on that thing for a couple of years now, so it's just really awesome.
Yeah,
but in Texas, that does not exist anymore. We got 200 gigawatts sitting in the queue, and they don't even know what the hell to do with that. So, so they got it. Like, I don't know how we get them over it, but it's either that or they're just like, finally they just exasperatedly will just say, okay, fine. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, we have our stuff sitting in interconnection request land, but we're not gonna, they've already kind of said, Amy, you're not gonna get anything to your site for 10 years. Like, just be ready for that. Right. So, which I find
it's gonna be the only choice. It's coming. That's the way we're going.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, as long as they're willing to, as long as it's going to help us, solve problems in different ways. If they're not mandating that, because we're just beating, all of us developer people are beating our heads up against a brick wall because we just can't get it to them. Like, there's just we're trying, we're doing everything we can, but we
be
can't
patient.
Get it.
It'll be valuable. The same thing. Trax model. They go out and they're buying up land with power. And they are getting interconnect agreements, but they figure the hyperscalers are going to want it, and they're holding on to it to basically give that to the group.
You'll want to get in the queue. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
I got
cool. Yeah. All right. So
I disproportionately tend to meet a lot of CEOs and founders of like what most people would consider like a Series A or B company that's trying to do something innovative to move the needle on that, like ECL trying to normalize hydrogen fuel cells, Turbine X trying to build a business around liquid natural gas hookups as alternate power. There's a lot of that. An interesting one too, Andy, that came up last fall is I interviewed Tim Heidel from Veer up in Massachusetts, trying to advance superconducting with basically sending a lot more energy over the transmission lines outside of the data centers and within the data center campuses themselves, because that's a big bottleneck as well. Haven't had that many people that wanted to step forward and talk about the practical startup curve on small modular nuclear yet. I'm waiting for those folks to show up, but the liquid natural gas has been a lot more vocal. Fuel cells have been a lot more vocal, certainly energy storage. Oh, an interesting one too is I had some founders on that are building an energy marketplace on the feeling that most of the information about energy availability happens now very informally at conferences, and they basically want to build like a central clearinghouse marketplace. And they said part of the challenge with doing that is there's no standard language that's used to communicate availability and communicate requirements. So they're trying to standardize to make this possible for a marketplace to help advance who has power and who has energy available in certain markets.
Yeah, I don't think that's a challenge. The challenge is that it's held tightly close to the chest of the electric providers. Like they don't communicate, right? So you can have energy flow models tell you, oh, at this, based off of what's available today at this substation, there's this amount of headroom capacity. Like there's software that'll tell you that. I go, but you don't know what's sitting in the queue. No one has any idea what's sitting in the queue on that substation. And so therefore, if it's got 500 megawatts sitting there, great. That doesn't mean you can go take it. And you might even see what's the amount of upgrades that are on that substation, because they actually have a PUC number, but you don't know what else has been asked for there. So it's like this big unknown. And I love for them to solve that problem. Please, hallelujah, solve that problem, because now Google doesn't have to go place bets on 15 sites. Yeah. They can go, we know exactly where everything's sitting. Let's go find land here, because we know exactly what's available on any given substation at any point in time. That would be great, but that would require all the electric providers to play ball.
Is that a lack of transparency? That's not an EPA issue, though. That's a state by state issue where they'd have to decide to be a lot more transparent.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
they'd have to have a summit at the White House where you invite
you would have to have
CEOs to agree to.
Yeah, exactly. They would have to agree to, number one, upgrade how they do their electric provisioning, all their systems, to be able to provide in some sort of clearinghouse. What do we have available where, right? And it's just right now, it's just not available, right? They'll report out, like ERCOT report out, we've got 230 gigawatts sitting in the queue, but you're not going to know where. And you might know maybe, and so that's how they're doing the cluster process, but they're still trying to figure that out. They passed Senate Bill 6 last year. They had a first hearing on it September of last year. They still don't know how to enforce it. And they're trying, and not to their fault, they're trying to figure it out, because it's just they're being inundated. And it's just like a crazy problem to solve.
There's so many archaic pieces of it. It's like, which do you solve first? You had someone on last summer that I met that I ended up having on the Data Center Go to Market podcast, Jake Anderson from PV-Case, and his entire company's value proposition was being able to better estimate what grid availability is in a specific area, because before that, you told the story of having to drive around and literally trace the power lines in the car, as opposed to
exactly. Yeah, they've got the best software. PV-Case does, but they still can't tell you what's in the queue.
It's a false indicator, like to your point, Amy. And I love those. They're pretty slick systems they've set up and they've created. But again, until I'm sitting down with the utility company and they have to balance a load that like to your point, that 500 megawatts is sitting there. That might need to sit there to balance the load, and you got to worry about different seasons and weather and heat And so there's so much to it that you can't just look at a system and say, okay, this is curtailed power sitting in this area. It kind of helps, but at the end of the day, it's you got to go through the process. And I've got sites where we're entitled, ready to go for development, industrial. We've applied for power, but without an end user, we can't get the real story from the utility company. And and an end user doesn't want to step up and go down that road unless they have a better story from the utility company.
Exactly. It's a chicken or egg thing. And they don't want to, they ask you, I got in before a lot of the ERCOT people started requiring that. Are you the actual person that's going to pay the electric bill? And so, of course I lied, said yes, but we're not. Like, we're going to sell this to somebody eventually. Did I say that out loud? I did. I think it was I don't know, but at the end of the day, that's silly. I've been a developer for a very long time. I've always put in my interconnection request. I've always known I was going to flip whatever I sold this to, and mandating that that's the person because they're trying to get rid of these phantom requests. I get it, but you can't do that as part of this process. You'll never get anything done. Like, it's crazy town. I know. I'm venting. I'm sorry. Can you tell I've been working on some sites? It is definitely crazy. So what do we see? What do we see as far as on-site power generation? And then the other thing too is, I think on this DC no DC conversion, where this high voltage DC thing is, does this allow more renewable sources to play? They already kind of do, but is it, and this is probably an Andy question, does it allow, because my understanding is a lot of the renewable comes in DC, so maybe we can blend more solar and wind and whatever it might be. That's, Trump's against wind, but whatever. Can we get...
That's 100% yes, Amy. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go keep going. I was trying to formulate my question, but you know what I'm saying.
So we actually have a digital. We have a beta e-house going in South Korea at our VFD factory, variable frequency drive. That is, I got a solar array which feeds into the e-house, which has a battery energy storage system in it. It has some traditional transformers and vacuum circuit breakers, but it also has a solid state transformer and less breakers. So there's less hardware in the solid state DC than having to step down from the AC to DC. So it's kind of a backup system. We have a traditional and a new system that'll be under a test. And that is, I believe, going to be up and running at the end of this month. In Korea. So I'll check on that. I have a slide on what that looks like. I did find that presentation I was talking about. So after this, Amy, what I'm going to do is, if for some reason I have to, for encryption and stuff, I have to change PDFs to, PowerPoints to PDFs, and it didn't take. So I got to figure out why it didn't work. So I'll pull a couple slides out and I'll email them to you. And then maybe you can post them for whoever wants to look at them.
Yeah, that would be great.
These were shared publicly, so there shouldn't be any. There's no confidentially on the bottom line, so we're not causing any issues with IP or anything like that. But
awesome.
And this is a lot of this stuff is exactly what we had at DTEC. We were talking about. So.
Oh, that's cool. So we're gonna end it.
Sorry, awesome. I feel comfortable sharing with you. But my point is, you're right. DC solar coming directly into DC is going to be more efficient, and it is the way for hopefully bring on islanding, right, Howie? So you have your own. Everybody wants to have their own power generation in their own facility. I'm a big believer that microgrids are going to take over the world in the next 20 years.
With you. I'm with you, Andy. I always say, why does a mission critical facility need to be hooked to a 500-mile extension cord?
Exactly.
Well, I guess you have to blame you have to blame when the grid was laid out 100+ years ago. That was their design, right?
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
right? I know. That's
Heat
crazy.
reuse is edging ever so slightly closer to having a little bit more footprint in the U.S. That British company that famous for heating the swimming pools with the data centers, Deep Green,
Oh, yeah.
that I've had on the podcast a couple of times. They're trying to push a project forward in Lansing, Michigan, and I guess part of it is they need to be in an urban environment where there's a district heating grid that can actually get value from that, as opposed to the building just being totally adjacent. But
Very
in
true.
theory, there's a lot of cities in the US where it's really cold during the winter that if they could make a significant dent in chipping away at some of those energy costs.
Yeah,
Maybe
we
it's
were-
not just extreme northern costs. I look at with the big cold snap we had a couple of weeks ago down as far south as like Memphis and Tallahassee.
And Austin, Texas.
Austin, yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to do that, Josh, in San Jose, and I'm like it's been 70 degrees here in the winter. It's like, I'm like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Well, at least we don't have to hear any more like heating oil shortage stories, right? If we can, we have the data centers are going to come and save the day. Not only data centers, not evil. We're superheroes, and we're going to come in and save the day. That's my whole point.
I'm with you.
That's fine. You with me?
I have one other thing. We actually have some discount codes for Data Center World and IEEE in DC and
awesome.
Chicago, respectively. So I'll share that with Amy if you could get that out. And
I
Joshua,
will do
if
that.
you want to share that on your contacts, no issue at all. Okay.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, just
Is there going to be a Metro Connect?
When
Excuse
is that one? When is Metro Connect? When is that?
22nd this month.
Oh, this month. I don't know.
Fort Lauderdale. Yeah.
I'm going to be at Intersolar again back in lovely San Diego next week, but it's a short trip.
Well, I'm sure you don't mind it from Chicago going to San Diego. I'm sure.
Amy, you know what you're talking about? It's a balmy like 38 degrees today with only a wind chill of 34. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Oh,
it's brisk,
yeah.
as we like to refer to it in the Midwest.
Yes, it's brisk. Yes, with that Chicago wind, it's brisky. Yeah, so I think no, I don't know about that, but Data Center World, yours truly is speaking. So we'll y'all have to go to that one. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely tell me when that is. I'll drag a bunch of high-level Koreans along. How's that sound?
Oh, yes, that would be great. And then the U.S. Project Council is having our event at South by Southwest this year. So I'll need to promote that. It's on March 13th. And we are having a quantum panel, like a quantum computing panel with Dr. Scott Aronson, who leads the Texas Quantum Information Center, the Texas Quantum Institute. And and we have other things happening there. But yeah, so if y'all are coming to Austin, come on down. It's March 13th. We'd love to have you. So yeah, that'd be really, really cool. And then, yes, I will be at DCW and then probably DCD New York. And, it's that season again, everybody. It's data center conference time. There's one every week.
We'll be at DCD New York also. So
good. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be super fun. Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, look at that. We like an hour flies with y'all. We have so much fun. And then the show's over and like, darn. Show is over. All right, but if somebody would like to get a hold of you, Joshua, how could they do that?
LinkedIn, by far and away the best place. You can also sign up for our free newsletter at dcsmi.com.
And him and I host the best 2 podcasts on data centers. Just saying out loud, we're pretty cool. Absolutely. All right, Howie.
You can reach me. I'm also on LinkedIn and Howard under Howard Berry. I should change to Howie. Also, you can email me at howard.berry, BERRY, @avisandyoung.com. Or ask ChatGPT. It gives my contact out for some reason now. I get a lot of farmers calling me.
That's awesome. You should change it Howie everywhere. Like it should just be Howie Berry at Avis and Young and Howie. I know. Work on it. Work on it, Howie. All right. Not like, I don't tell you what to do, but okay. All right. Andy.
Just be careful. They're not thinking it's Halle Berry. They're trying to get a hold of that. Different.
I look just like her.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is the best way for most people to get a hold of me. So it's I've been on there. In fact, I already reached out to Joshua on LinkedIn while we were having the meeting. So
Oh yeah, I saw
that's the
that. Cool.
best.
Yeah, I'll
And
get back to
then,
you in a few minutes.
What about me?
my email is long. It's Andy Erta. There's no dots or dashes at elliselectricamerica.com. So it's a mouthful.
Very cool.
But
Yes,
if
sir.
you connect on LinkedIn, I accept just about everybody except for people that are trying to take over
Oh.
my assets for investments. So
Oh, or
I turn those
SEO
down.
people, or who else is it? Like SEO people want to do wealth management. I get all those. Oh my Lord, drive me bananas. All right, this has been the Data Center News Show,
Wealth management.
sponsored
Hey,
by
I have to
LS
apologize.
Electric. You got to go.
Thank you. I have to run. I'm late for the next meeting. And by the way, Howie and Joshua, it's very nice meeting you. And hopefully we
likewise,
can
Andy.
meet
You too,
in
Andy.
person in the future. Be nice. Thank
I
you.
sent you a
All
link.
right.
Invite.
Thank you. Bye.
There you go. All right, y'all. Another show next week. Hasta.
Awesome. Be
See you
good.
later.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Howie.
Thanks.
Take care now.
All right. Thanks, guys.